Hello, I'm Clive Paget and I'm Limelight's editor-at-large. One of the very best parts of my job is organising our annual Recording of the Year Awards. And this year it gives me particular pleasure to see Osmo Vänskä and the Minnesota Orchestra's recording of Mahler's 10th Symphony carry off the top prize. Earlier this month, I spoke with Osmo to find out a little bit about his Mahler cycle and how he went about tackling the famously unfinished 10th. Osmo, thank you for joining us and congratulations on your recording of Mahler 10, which has won Limelight's 2021 Recording of the Year.
Thank you, Clive. It's a great honor for me to hear that you have decided to go this way.
Can I talk to you a little bit about the work? I mean, any conductor embarking on a Mahler cycle has to decide at some point what they're going to do about the famously unfinished 10th Symphony. Why did you decide that you were going to record a complete version of it rather than, say, just the first movement as some conductors do?
I totally see the point and why it might be difficult for actually many people to make a decision. For me, the answer is very simple. The 10th Symphony by Mahler, when it's done by Derek Cook and his team, it sounds very much like Mahler. It sounds really like Mahler music, and I have no problem to jump into the music and just think about the music, not who wrote and which notes. I think that the whole spirit is coming from Mahler himself, and all the end is some sort of question about practicality, how to make it so that we can play it and how to make it so that people can listen to it.
Tell me, what are your views on what it is that Mahler actually left? I mean, do you feel, to what extent do you feel that represents his view on what he wanted to say in his final symphony, and how different might it have been had he lived another year and managed to work further on it?
That is impossible question to answer. I think the question is great, but I cannot answer to that. I'm just thinking about, let's say, the 9th Symphony, and then I am going to the 10th Symphony, and for my mind, it's the same music, which is getting a little bit more maybe frustrated or angst, and has all, well, Mahler is always, or was always, writing things with extremes, and I think that going from the 9th to the 10th, it doesn't change this big line, and then there are more maybe situation where we can hear that this is not going to last for any longer. So the music gets quite sad and I think angry at some moments.
You've recorded the Derek Cook, I think it's the second version that he produced of it, which I think is the one that is generally most often done. Did you ever really consider any of the other completions?
Well, the score says this is the third final version of this, and well, I can confess you something. I am not very much a guy who would like to go to archives and go to the history and compare the things, and I'm more like a practical thinker of these questions. So I see what is available, and then I try to make my mind, and luckily there are recordings of the 10th Symphony Cook's version, which makes the process much shorter. If it's a question about the read different scores of different versions, I'm not the guy who is going to do it. So as I said, that this version is convincing me, and then I can just start to work and study the score and put this question, which version behind me.
You've already touched on this, but I mean, many of Mahler's symphonies seem to have a very distinct journey, which you sense is being told to you through the music. The 10th Symphony is no exception to that. I mean, particularly by the time you arrive in the final movement, and there's that extraordinary kind of funereal procession. Do you think? What journey do you think the 10th Symphony is expressing from Mahler's perspective?
I think that there might be like many interpretations and many stories about if you go to the details. And so my story might not be the same as someone else is telling you. And so I just try to think about this music as I am thinking about Beethoven or Sibelius. I just try to breathe, to listen and to plan ahead, and then I follow my emotions, what is happening right now and where they are going to lead me. So I cannot tell, well, someone might use this against me, but it's the brain has to be there. You need some sort of plan, but whatever the plan is, when the music starts to sound and when the orchestra is playing, then I have to listen to them and I have to breathe, and I have to go where my instincts are going to lead me. And at the same time, I need to give a little bit capacity for the brain so that I don't go totally somewhere where I am in the corner and I cannot turn anyway. So this is for me living through the music. And if we can do that together with the orchestra, then something good is coming out. And I'm happy to say that the Minnesota Orchestra is a great orchestra. It's really like one of the best quality orchestra, but also it plays chamber music all the time. Mm-hmm. And what I know that whatever I'm doing, people are going to be with me. I can do unexpected things in a concert and even in a recording. And then things are happening there. It's not like calculated thing. It's more lived through and emotional. When I say emotional, I don't want to say that you just cry or you just laugh and you don't do anything else. But there are always intersections. You have to go this exit, not the other one, and then you have to follow where the road goes, and you try to stay on the road. Mm-hmm. and not go off. So that is my understanding. I think more and more when I'm getting older. So I try to live through something in my heart, and then if I can transport, and if the musicians and I can together transport that to the listeners, then something good will happen.
I'm kind of curious. One of the things that I think interests me is that until the 10th Symphony came along, a lot of people thought that Mahler's 9th Symphony was his final symphony, and that the sort of valedictory quality in the 9th Symphony was a kind of, there's a farewell, sense of farewell in it. But clearly he went on to write the plenty of ideas for the 10th, including a very, very distinctive finale. Do you feel, there seems to me to be a quality of, certainly a quality of despair at times in the music for the 10th, which is not necessarily as distinct in, say, the 9th Symphony. And I'm also kind of curious as well that there's something that seems to me that there is a continuation between the final movement of the 9th Symphony and the first movement of the 10th. I mean, what do you find in that music emotionally?
I think that it's interesting. All the things you said, really interesting. One thing from the end, I think that the first movement of the 10th Symphony is not like just continuing where the Ninth Symphony ended. But it's like first movement of the Ninth is more like the First Symphony of the 10th, and then the final of the Ninth goes to the final of the 10th Symphony. So I think that there are like some different bridges which are put together in both symphonies, so that there is some sort of musical journey. And I think that if the ninth is some sort of way to say civilized goodbye and farewell. Number 10 is more private person who is not speaking to the audience, speaking maybe to himself, or maybe someone, or very, very few people who are close to him. And it is screaming. It is telling you that it's so wrong that I have to die. I don't like this. There is a desperation, there is the anxiety, all those kind of things are there, and that when everything else has already happened, and then the bass drum hits. It hit Mahler. It did hit Mahler very strongly and very, very painful way. That's what I feel. Mm-hmm. And then you try to do something, and then the tuba starts screaming, but comes down like, okay, I don't like to die, but what can I do? There's not another, I can't do anything for that. And then we go to the flute solo, and I think that I'm crying. I'm always crying when the flute solo starts. It's like a turning point. I don't like that. I hate that. I really hate that. What can I do? I want to compare that to the ending of the Fourth Symphony by Sibelius. When it comes to the end, when it's so obvious that the composer is saying that, well, I don't like that, but it's still 7:24. I go away, and the word continues. So let it go.
Can I ask you a little bit about your personal journey with Mahler? I mean, what were your experiences growing up as a young man with Mahler and his music, and then as a professional musician? Can you tell me something about that journey?
I think that my journey with Mahler started quite late. Of course, I knew the Fifth Symphony and the First Symphony, and when I played with the Helsinki Philharmonic, I was a co-principal clarinet there for 6 years, and all together with the Turku Orchestra, 11 years I played the clarinet. So these things are coming as a player, and then you listen recordings, radio, etc. But my older years in Lahti, it was a little bit smaller scale orchestra, and we had 12 first violins, 4 basses, 5 basses. No way to go to Mahler, and I had some guest conducting possibilities to do Mahler, but it wasn't like okay, now I jump in and would like to learn more and more and more. It happened very much during my years, last 20 years with the Minnesota Orchestra. Well, this is the 19th year, and finally here I thought that okay, now I have the instrument. I am able to do whatever music I like to do. And that is when my serious Mahler adventure started. So it's an older guy's story rather than a teenager who is in love with that music.
That's fascinating, actually, because I mean, if there's one thing that I would say has struck me about the whole cycle that you've done so far, is there's a freshness to these interpretations. There's a kind of clarity to the way you approach the orchestration. There's they're light on their feet when they need to be. It doesn't feel kind of weighed down by tradition. And every single one of your recordings so far has kind of brought something new to my mind about how I've thought about these works. Do you, as a result of that, do you have a sort of personal philosophy about how this composer's music should best be played that you bring to the music yourself?
Thank you, Clive, for your words. I think that it tells a little bit more about me. If you think about, or if you are aware what has been said about my Sibelius recordings or Beethoven recordings, it's always the same old boring story that there are like new things, and it comes from my idea about all kind of music. I have to take very seriously the composer's score, and I need to study and to do that score as well as possible. Everything what the composer wrote there, and then when it's done, then I try to understand even those parts which I don't understand, because who am I to tell to Beethoven that no, it should go this way, or to Sibelius that it should go this way? No, I try to go through the score and try to find everything what is there. And it has happened many times that when I'm studying and trying to understand something, then I start to understand, oh, it really could go this way. That happens with Beethoven too. So I don't care what the tradition is or how people are doing. I listen to that, and if I don't feel that is following the score, then I would like to go to score in my understanding. So that is the simple secret about those things. I try to do as I feel the score, and I don't want to follow any tradition, because what is the whole point if I just take my favorite CD and then I try to conduct very much as the CD is sounding? I have to change my job if I'm going to that kind of copy-paste philosophy.
Do you have favorite conductors of Mahler on CD?
Yeah, there are. I really like the many things about Bernstein, because he goes to those extremes. Mm. And sometimes it might be right to say that he even recomposes the piece his way, but it's always touching. Another one which I am admiring very much is and was Abbado. I have to say that for example, the Lucerne Festival Orchestra playing the 9th Symphony, that performance is like, oh wow, everything is there. Mm-hmm. All the details, all the long line, and it's just like, okay, the music is speaking.
Fantastic. What is next in your cycle? I think we've there's 3 or 4 still to go, or still to be released.
The next to record is number 9, mm-hmm. and then number 8 and number 3 is going to be the last one. So we cannot do all 3 during my last season, but I'm happy that the Minnesota Orchestra has agreed to do the whole cycle coming to the end. So.
Fantastic. Well, I for one can't wait to hear the last recordings. Osmo Vänskä, thank you so much, and congratulations again on winning our award.
Thank you, Clive, and thanks for your company to giving us this great honor to enjoy about the year of the recording. I have to say one more thing, if I may. It's a recording, and for me, the big part and the most important part when it goes to the recording is BIS recording company, BIS, and I have to say that their artistic director Rob Suff, who has produced I don't know how many recordings for BIS. This is always a great experience, and I know that when I'm working with Rob Suff, I don't need to be worried about how it goes to the recording. He takes care of that. He understands what I am thinking, what all my musical ideas, and he can take care that he gets the material to make them. So he makes my life as a conductor much easier, and I cannot say enough thanks for him.
No, there are many years of listening pleasure I've had from BIS Recordings. Extraordinary label. Thank you, Osmo.
Thank you so much.